Hi guys, my name is Christina and I want to record a collective message about the current energies that are right now. So, I've been analyzing the mundane chart of the US but also of other countries. I want to also explain for those who don't understand what mundane astrology is. So, the mundane astrology, it refers to the world and it focuses on countries and society at large. And on the other hand, we have personal astrology, which is more personalized about your current energies and aspects. So, yeah, we have some interesting aspects that are going on right now. I'm just looking at the chart, so bear with me. I hope you can hear my message well because I'm outside. So, what I want to say is that America has a lot of Leo energy. So that's why, it's such a big focus on celebrities being the best, being number one. It's the energy of the king. Usually, Leo wants a lot of attention, in a negative aspect, on a darker aspect. It can be very egoistical and only thinks of themselves. When I'm thinking of a Leo in history, I can think of Henry VIII, Ludovic XIV. It was called also the King of the Sun in the French history. We also see that J.D. Vance is a Leo and is also power hungry, but he has some positive aspects as well. Trump is a Gemini, but he has a lot of Leo energy on a negative side. Now that we have a lot of Aquarius activating, we had the full moon in Aquarius and we have Pluto in Aquarius. This is a big shift because for the last 20 years we had like Pluto in Capricorn. So we've seen the people, the 1%, getting more and more attention, getting more and more money, getting more greedy. And now, like from 2 years ago, we've shifted the Pluto in Aquarius, and now it starts to feel more because we also have the North Node in Aquarius. So we're gonna see a revolution, and the revolution will be on a personal level. So the revolution is about, the 1% is not only about the celebrities and the politicians. It's also about people who are, in corporations, in tech, or they're managers, and they just abuse their powers. So we're gonna see that people are gonna be more connected, and they're gonna come together, and they're gonna be stronger communities, and it's gonna be a revolution in a sort of way that we don't buy mass production clothes, where people, and small children and women are overpaid for their labor, and they're underpaid for the labor. So we're not gonna support that. We're not gonna buy expensive bags for what, just to show off. Like we can start a revolution on a personal level, So the way you spend your money can be a revolution. You can take some days off and not be on social media, or you can talk to your manager and say, I'm not gonna overwork after 5 p.m., especially if you're not gonna pay me for those hours. So we can see those like micro revolutions. And this is very powerful because at the collective, you know, the collective can heal through the individual. And Aquarius is about, he is usually, people say that Aquarius is weird or challenging, it's more of like an outsider energy. So Aquarius doesn't like to follow trends, is very creative, likes to study a lot. Usually Aquarius energy also represents inventions, so we might see a lot of inventions. It can also have a darker side with AI and with technology, but it also shows where is the dark side. Yeah. So that's what's up with the US. We're gonna see a lot of things coming to the surface, secrets coming to the surface. I've just recently seen the video of Dr. Fauci, Dr. Phony, I would call him. He was talking with the Senate, and wasn't saying anything. By not saying anything, he admitted what he did during COVID. But anyway, I want to say that it is a very powerful and challenging influence, because it's it's just very challenging, this aspect. But as we've seen with the Roman Empire, when you're greedy and when you want more and more and more, you're probably gonna be betrayed. So that's a prediction I feel like is going to happen, that Trump is gonna be betrayed, probably by JD Vance. But we'll see how it's gonna play out. It is very challenging in the Middle East. My heart goes out to the Middle East, to the people in Ukraine. I feel like, US is it's a masculine energy, and it's looking to destroy the feminine, and Iran is a very feminine energy. Yeah, it's very, very challenging. So I was researching the mundane astrology for US and the Middle East, and I found some very interesting aspects. Maybe not necessarily interesting, I would call them more challenging, but I'm gonna see how I can share about them. So there are these fixed stars that can be a bit challenging. So we have Capulus. This is associated with the Perseus sword, and this represents courage and fearlessness. It's the willing to fight for one's beliefs, values. It can also suggest strong warrior energy, resilience. So that is the light aspect, but we live in a world of duality. So the shadow is aggression and impulsiveness. It also, it can tend to escalate conflict instead of resolving it. Yeah. And it can be a very challenging aspect. Then we have the Aldebaran star. This is one of the 4 royal stars. It symbolizes honor, integrity, moral leadership. And also we have Algol. This is one of the most powerful but also misunderstood fixed stars. Algol is associated with Medusa's head, who traditionally is very feared. And it represents resilience, survival in front of adversity, dark feminine energy, transformation. It's associated with Pluto as well. And it's the ability to grow after great loss. It's also like representative of the phoenix energy. In the shadow aspect, it can represent rage, like volcanoes, erupting volcanoes, tornado, destructive extreme when emotions become overwhelming. And we can see that there have been floods, there have been a lot of fires all over the world. So we can see that it can be a very challenging aspect. So yeah, I'm just taking a deep breath because this is very intense and challenging. So as I'm looking at this chart, I'm seeing that Kepler is conjunct with Israel's sun in Taurus. So this can be an attack on the land. You know, we've seen their war on the feminine, on the spiritual level. There can be a very raw martial intensity to the nation's identity that fuels a primal drive for survival. And you can see that it makes sense because the Israel people really are trying to defend their land. They're very proud of their land. They're not gonna go away. And you can also see that because almost more than 50% of the Israel citizens have served in the military in some capacity, even women, compared to the 6% in United States. So you can see that they are united, they are one. Whereas in the US, there's so much division. Also, we have the star Aldebaran conjunct its Mercury. This is connected also with Mars, and it indicates conflict. It's very, very challenging, but I also see that it's bringing people together. That's what I'm getting. I just paused the audio recording because I just saw a machine that looked like a bulldozer, and it's, you know, representative of this energy. You know, the female power has been oppressed. There have been challenges, but we will persevere. Yeah, it can be very intense, and as I'm talking about it, I feel angry. But it's, you know, there will be a revolution and a resolution to this. I trust that, and I have hope in things are going to get better. So yeah, I'm also looking at the Republic of Iran. So Iran has a lot of feminine energy. It's more connected to Cancer energy, I would say. So it has the star fixed Kepler's conjunct midheaven, which represents the public image and global reputation. This star, you know, Kepler's also in connection with Algol, it's connected to Mars and Saturn. So this brings a lot of cold energy. So people have a bad image of Iran. It can mean relentless, challenging energy. So it's a very, very challenging aspect. Both nations carry a lot of fixed, intense energies, so it also can bring some conflict, especially because there's Mars, who's the planet of action, but also conflict and war, and we have square Uranus. So it's Mars square Uranus, and Uranus brings a lot of challenges and aspect. You know, we had Uranus in Taurus for 5 or 6 years, I believe. So there have been challenges, especially shortages around food and things like that, problems with agriculture. So Uranus usually brings challenges and it disrupts the system. So it is quite challenging. I want to say this energy can feel very challenging and volatile, especially because there has been a shift with the outer planets. And there have been a very quick shift. So outer, we have the inner planets, personal planets like Mercury and Venus, which affect us more on a personal level and change quite frequently. And then we have the outer planets, which shift and are more connected to the collective energy. So it's quite rare. So for example, Pluto in Aries lasted approximately 30 years. In Taurus, Gemini as well, 30 years. And then we've been seeing some challenging aspects in the last 50 years. For example, Pluto in Libra lasted 12 years, as well as Scorpio and Sagittarius. Pluto in Capricorn lasts about 15 years. And now we have Pluto in Aquarius, who's going to last approximately 20 years. So right now we are in Pluto in Aquarius, which shifted on November 19, 2024. So we can see that from 2004 to 2024, in about those 20 years, we've seen the 1% getting richer, and we've seen, so many imbalances around that. It has been, Pluto has been back and forth in Aquarius and Capricorn, but now it's in Aquarius full time. Neptune has been in Pisces, but now it's in Aries. Neptune in Pisces could have brought from 2012 a lot of challenges. So from 2012 to 2025, there could have been challenges on a personal level with addiction, alcoholism, and also like having like a fog, not being able to, some people had a lot of dreams that they weren't able to put them into action. But also Neptune in Pisces helped a lot of people to go through their spiritual awakening. Now with Neptune in Aries, this is a time to make our dreams come true. Yeah. And it feels like the fog has lifted, so we're going to be able to take more action. And other aspects that have been interesting is, for example, Uranus has been in Taurus since March 16, 2019. This talks about innovation. Uranus talks about innovation, and it doesn't like it to be in Taurus. During this time, we've had technologies like Zoom, AI. Now we have Uranus in Gemini from July 2025. So we're going to have a shift of energy. We're going to be able to make easier connections. It can be very overwhelming and overstimulating. Social media can feel very overwhelming for our hearts and our souls and our minds. So the way to balance Gemini energy, the mind, you can use the Sagittarius energy. So take more action, be active, go to the gym, hike a mountain, just do stuff, travel, connect with people. Gemini is just too much in their head. So yeah, there are some big shifts that are coming to the surface. There's a lot of restless energy. People might have challenges going to sleep. There are a lot of tensions. We've seen protests, international tensions, and yeah, we've seen the challenges. 2025 has been a very challenging year, and 2026, it's also a challenging year, but things are shifting for the better. That's what I feel like. Yeah. So I also want to talk about other planets that is very important to consider right now. It's Jupiter and Saturn. They are known as the social planets, and they reflect how we relate to society, goals, and collective frameworks. So right now we have Saturn in Aries, and it's not the best place to be in because it's considered to be in its fall. Saturn governs structure, responsibility, and limits. Also, Saturn is connected to governments. Saturn is connected to the father energy as well. And Aries is like a child, it's like a spark, it's impulsive. So we have Saturn is Capricorn, and Aries is the first of the zodiac, and it's independent. And it can be very challenging. It can be very challenging because we're going to see politicians be even more selfish and very impulsive, and it's going to be very challenging, especially with diplomatic relations, because Libra rules diplomacy and Aries is the opposite. Aries is like, it's very blunt. So it's going to be some challenging aspect on a global level, but also on a personal level. However, with Saturn, it can be some positive aspects as well around shifting how we want to be, what's our identity, what are our dreams. Actually, right now, Saturn is in retrograde in Aries. So we have Saturn retrograde in Aries, so until December 2026. So this is going to be a good energy because on a global scale we're going to see that politicians are going to be exposed. So that's great. I'm happy to hear that. And on a personal note, we can connect with what are our dreams. If you plan to go to the gym like I was and I didn't do it, maybe it's time for me to revise that and see what are my goals and make like a structured plan on how to make that, how to build that. So also Jupiter changed signs. So we had Jupiter for 1 year in Cancer. So this had been very emotional. There could have been like challenges on the emotional side, childhood wounds coming to the surface, having intense emotions, things like that. But it's also, now is in Leo. So Jupiter feels good in Leo. Jupiter expands. It's the planet of good luck, good fortune. It's a really beautiful energy connected to Leo and Aquarius as well. And Sagittarius, the planet of good luck and expansion, the ninth house, connection to the divine. So yeah, do what sparks your interest. Do what makes you feel alive. Like, for example, I'm really, really interested in astrology. And now with all this Aquarius energy, I started to remember how much I'm into astrology and history and things like that. And I'm not going to limit myself, or if people think I'm weird, I don't care. I'm just going to do me, and I'm going to do what I want to do. So yeah, that's the energy. So the energy is about doing what you want to do, but without hurting other people. I know there's very challenging aspects, and I'm not like trying to. I hope I'm not like offending anyone. I'm just I'm just gonna like continue to be happy, even though the world feels very crazy. I feel fine and I feel hopeful, and I know it's gonna get better from now. I just have this trust and feeling that it's gonna get better. Yeah. So as I said, um, it can be very volatile. It can be very challenging. Things tend to escalate very quickly. I would suggest to take a step back. If your partner, your spouse, your manager are, angry or upset, to try to be calm or take a step back, because things can escalate very quickly. Fire and air, don't give it any air, because the more air you give, the bigger the fire. And yeah, so connect more with earth and water to balance this energy. So because this shift has been happening in the last 3 years, so when I mean the shift, I mean the outer planets who focus on global energy, the countries, collective energy has shifted from earth and water to air and fire. So this means that these outer planets transition from an introspective, feeling, passive energy into a more active, initiating fire and air energy, fire starter, yeah. Intense energy. So it can be quite intense. And if we're looking back in history, putting things into perspective, we can see that this has happened in history. So I'm looking back at, for example, from 1969 through 1973. This was when the outer planets from Earth and water, so more interior, like interactive, more passive energy, moved to more masculine energy, so air and fire. And there have been some challenging aspects then. So from what I've researched, this was the time of the Vietnam War. So yeah, there can be war and conflict and tension. So we can see this dark side of humanity coming back. But looking back, we see that the 70s was also liberation, the hippie movement, some really good music. It also talks about freedom. So Aquarius is about freedom. So people are going to focus on freedom. So I feel it's going to be a revolution, but not in the same sense. So it's going to be a revolution on an economic level, because we're not going to buy all this stuff that we don't need, more cars or more expensive bags for what, like it's useless and pointless. So yeah, we're going to focus on a revolution on a personal level, and we're going to come more together. So that's going to be a very good energy as well. Yeah, I'm just feeling hopeful. So one thing I suggest is, if you watch the previous audio, I have a more lighter, positive energy anywhere. But, I'm going to accept that sometimes going to get angry or upset. I'm going to accept all my emotions. It's okay. So, yeah. One thing that you can uplift humanity is to uplift yourself, meet with your friends, organize a dinner together, go to the beach if you're near a beach. I am near a beach right now. I don't know if you can hear the waves. Just do something that I would suggest that it's important to not watch the news too much, because one thing that I want to say, one thing I want to say. So yeah. So in the U.S., I don't know if you know about egregores. So egregores is about, when, for example, more people watch the same news and they get very angry, so they make like this egregore. This is like an energy thing, and it starts to have their own conscious. This egregore has a more conscious, and this negative energy can affect us and can affect other people. So yeah, that's why Donald Trump has been very powerful, because he knows how to annoy people, both parties, and they get more and more annoyed, and they give him more and more attention, and then he gets more attention. And yeah, one thing I also wanted to add about him, as you know, he's a narcissist, and he hates competition. He's very shallow, so he's trying to destroy Obama's legacy, because he wants to be remembered in history, and he cannot be remembered as a competent leader, because he's just not smart, not that, anyway. So he's trying to destroy that, and he also cannot have, he doesn't have compassion. He only cares about money, but he also doesn't care about other people. So anyway, I don't know where I was going to that. My battery is gonna die. I just want to say to stay free, stay connected with yourself, with your family, listen to your intuition, shut off the TV, take care of yourself, and goodbye for now. Thank you very much.